Good evening, everyone. I'm Varun Hegde from Earthkeepers Connect Goa, your host for this evening. The 26th day of the pre-summit webinars leading up to the New Earth Summit in November. It is the second edition of India's first integrative summit on solutions to our problems in health, food, farming, and the environment. I extend a warm welcome to our esteemed panelists of this evening. And on behalf of our summit convener, Darrell De Souza, and also on behalf of our 10 Earthkeeper groups in India and overseas. And we express our gratitude to you for taking out time from your busy schedules to be with us and share your wisdom, so that all watching this webinar and its recording later may better understand the various local, eco-friendly and sustainable businesses and jobs that can be created in this difficult period we are all going through. That's our topic for today: local and sustainable livelihoods in Goa. So I'll start by introducing our panelists. Varun Hegde. Varun was born and brought up in the picturesque Goan village of Benauli. Having graduated with a degree in electronics and telecommunication engineering, he worked for 4 years with the prestigious Tata Consultancy Services. His last job was in Frankfurt, Germany, as an on-site coordinator with a multinational bank. Varun quit his job in 2017 and founded Soul Traveling, a leading offbeat experience-based travel company in India. Soul Traveling has been featured in leading magazines like Natural Geographic Traveler, Condé Nast Traveler, and Lonely Planet for its experiences. It was featured in Live Mint for curating one of the most unconventional trails in India. Soul Traveling has a presence across 30 plus locations in Goa, where they have curated different community-based experiences. These experiences have a unique blend of history and heritage, stories and hands-on knowledge, and are curated and conducted by local experts from these villages. A few prominent ones include Houses of Goa Trails, interacting with house owners and meals, Islamic Heritage of Goa Trail, the Three Kings Village Experience in Kansali, Life of Pau, and the Devar Island Exploration. Now, our next panelist is Darrell De Souza. Darrell De Souza's reversal from 14 years of sickness to a state of complete well-being within just 1 year of using integrated natural therapies is a story that has inspired millions across the globe to lead healthier lives. His book, Become Healthy or Extinct, on curing chronic illnesses with integrated natural therapies, finds readership in close to 200 countries. Darryl does disease reversal workshops as well as spiritual workshops across India, and he also served a 5-year term as a secretary of the World United Doctors and Healers Association. He hosts platforms and events for doctors, healers, and therapists to work together, and has curated and convened 4 mind, body, and spirit healing conferences. Darryl is also an organic farmer, an environmentalist, a TEDx speaker, founder of Earthkeepers Connect, ambassador of Vegan Nation, convener of the New Earth Summit, and a speaker at the World Parliaments on Spirituality. Edward Mendes. Edward Mendes has completed his computer engineering. He worked in the IT industry for 11 years, with 5 years in Europe as a systems engineer. He set up institutes, Catering Institute and RICA. He has been into agriculture, organic, integrated farming since 2017 and has worked with community farming. He is presently working on the Blue Revolution, inland aquaculture. So let's begin. For our panelists, the first question is, why is creating more local and eco-friendly businesses and jobs so important during this pandemic time. So, Varun, would you like to take?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Warner, for that wonderful introduction. And I'm really happy to be in this session today and to be associated with the platform itself. And I have closely followed Darryl's work for the past few years. And I must say that the whole initiative is very inspiring and very, it is for all of us who know him. He is a very inspiring person. So thank you for having me here. Before I begin, just a question: am I audible and am I visible clearly?
Yeah, absolutely. And your whole background, everything looks amazing. So yeah, you're present.
Oh, thank you so much for that. So one of our friends really worked hard for this, and it shows different parts of Goa. Thank you so much, Warner. You asked a question about creating job in a eco-friendly business. Let me take it in two different ways. And I will mainly speak from a tourism point of view because that is one industry that I have been very strongly associated with. As Warner mentioned, most of the panelists today are engineers, and people think that first you do your engineering and then you decide what to do in your life. So that's the common notion out there. So I have been associated with tourism industry for past 3 years, and I have seen it change for good, and I'm really happy about it. So the question is creating job in an eco-friendly business. The first part is creating job itself. So that is one of the tough things that we all face today. As creating new businesses is not something that is a walk in the park. You have people who are trying something new, and you have news of startups failing every day. Having said that, it is important to create new businesses because that is how people actually come up with new ideas. People actually come up with new ways of keeping things going. And in the tourism industry, I mean, all of you would have known, if you think of tourism in Goa, people would always say, that is just mass tourism happening there. It's just people coming all the time, making, doing it, dirtying it around. And as you know, Goa gets around 3 to 4 times tourists than its normal population. And I'm talking about before the corona pandemic happened. When you have this volume of tourists coming to a certain place, the impact it creates on the place itself is huge. That is from the ecosystem point of view, that is from the normal sustainability point of view, or cleanliness point of view, and all the others. The impact that it is created is huge. Now, creating job in such an environment can have two ways. One is you do what is profitable to you. That is what has happened in Goa for a very long period of time, where people have just gone with the flow, and people have created and as we say today, a lot of casinos are in place, a lot of other businesses are in place, which are not necessarily eco-friendly. I'm not saying they are not needed for the economy point of view, but eco-friendly is something that we have started hearing recently. In the past 2 or 3 years, people have started moving towards experience-based tourism. Now, I'll tell you why this is important. When I talk about eco-friendly or experience-based tourism, it is important not just for the city or the state or the country, but entire humanity, because this is the only chance that we have if we are to sustain in future. And I know it sounds like a prediction or a philosophical thing and a very strong view to have, but we have seen the changes in the past few years and the impact that it has had on environment. And I strongly believe that this is the only chance that we can have in sustaining in future. You might have seen going back to the roots is slowly becoming a trend now with people. And that is what we have focused on as a company. We have basically worked on creating jobs in an eco-friendly manner, and that is actually reflected now. Having said that, I will make a point that the whole company need not be doing only eco-sustainable things as a focus area. I mean, I have seen a lot of industries or a lot of companies which have worked towards the profit making, or the business model is strongly in place, but they are sustainable and they are mindful of what is happening in the environment. For example, running a farm or running a small company, when you put measures in place which are making sure that you don't harm the environment directly, that automatically get you to the second bracket of trying to save the environment, and that is very important. What is also important is people understand the importance of doing this, because a lot of people say whatever we do, it is not important or it will not help in any other way, we are doomed. But this is the only chance that we can do, and once a company practices certain measures which are friendly towards the environment, it automatically percolates down to all the people working as a part of that company as employees or in the bigger section. And this is what is slowly percolating towards different parts in tourism sector as well. What we did in the last 3 years of our working was we worked with a lot of local communities. Now there are people who wanted to conduct trails or show talk about their own villages. There were hosts who wanted to open up their houses or be a part of the whole journey. What we basically did was we created a system which connected all the people, and we put out a trail, we put out an experience, and that is what people really liked about it. So we were kind of the connecting people in all these industries, and it benefited the person who wanted to show their village, the host who wanted to talk about their village, maybe a small I would say a vendor who's doing something in there, and overall in the bigger picture, a lot of other places as well. And the trend is slowly changing. I mean, if you are looking now, a lot of people want to know more about what Goa is all about. And I'm really glad that we have played a little part in that, and we have kind of tried to show what is different and how it can be done sustainably. And how we really hope one of our goals of soul traveling is to make sure people change how tourism is done in Goa. And we are slowly moving towards that goal, and we are really hopeful that we will achieve that in future. Having seen the government also slowly pushing out new policies towards this measure as well. So, Varun, those are my 2 cents on this particular question.
It was very interesting because first thing you brought out, something interesting about this whole concept of startups, which you never hear in a rural startup kind of concept. And the second thing which you said was about humanity, that you're going to make a difference because you make a difference in Goa, and definitely all the tourists go back with that difference. So that's really interesting and enlightening. So now, Edward, would you like to say a few words?
First thing, I would like to thank Darryl for having me on a panel. I had a busy day. In fact, I am still out sitting at my friend's place and just came online. Okay. Anyway, it's nice to have this creating jobs for locals in the pandemic situation, why they're important and all that. If you really go to see, this pandemic has brought most of our Goans back to their motherland. They were working abroad and all sort of things. They were depending on big fat salaries, forgot their land, thinking that there's no income that they could make out of it, But if you go to see, Goa has got a lot of potential. There's a lot of vast land where we can take up a lot of activities, especially in agriculture and organic things, integrated farming and a lot of things. It's not just, as Mr. Hegde said, tourism, of course, it's part of it. It's giving a lot of money, but agriculture we can't forget. And farming can be part of Goa. We are today relying most of the things that are coming from Belgaum and all that stuff. If you grow things here in Goa, and if the youths take up this as an opportunity, we can make really wonders. And with a lot of government support and organic things coming up, it can be taken it up. Now, for example, the pandemic has brought a lot of bones back to Goa. And you see them coming up on the roads and trying to sell a lot of things like fish or vegetables and all that. Actually, they never thought that this day would come. It's nice to see them, but I would advise them, go back to the fields, start doing your own agriculture. We can sustain Goa. We don't have to really rely on vegetables coming from outside Goa. We had a problem getting vegetables and all the other things during the pandemic. We really struggled to get things. So if we had to have our own, and there's nothing like that, we can have it in Goa itself. So I would encourage the locals to take up farming. And with government supporting with a lot of schemes and all, I think they should take it up. And there's a vast land that's available for us to do it. Yeah. So agriculture. People think agriculture, there's no money. There's a lot of money provided you do it in the right way. And it's just not paddy. It can be done as an integrated crop. It can be done as intercropping. And you can really earn that fat salary what you're earning on Sleep Canal or abroad here in Goa itself, doing agriculture, feeding our locals. There's a big market in Goa. Only thing, we don't look at agriculture as a profitable business in Goa. We should look at it as a profitable business and make it a profitable business. When we look at agriculture in Goa, we think it's only paddy or coconuts. Of course, it's part of it, but then we have to look beyond rice and coconut. We have a lot of things that can be grown, exotic things that can be grown in Goa. Now, I would like to take one example. There's a young lad in Shiroda who's doing wonders. He's actually earning more than 30 lakhs a year, just doing farming throughout the year. And he's doing a lot of crops throughout the year. It's the only thing that the land is to be utilized and in a proper way. So my take on this would be like encourage youth to go into farming. Yeah. So can go ahead with the next.
Thanks, Edward. That was interesting. I mean, because finally, agriculture, yes. I mean, so agriculture can be an additional thing and maybe even introduce tourists to agriculture. But, so we'll take this forward. And Darryl, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, thank you, Werner. And, I'll focus more on the need right now. It comes from people just realizing, so many people are sitting at home now without jobs. And who are those people? Those people are the ones who had chosen jobs that they don't do locally or around their place. They do it somewhere else. Okay. So if you look at the situation now, does the lady who come to do the housework have a problem? No, because she's working in the locality. Does the farmer who's just farming outside his house have a problem with earning money? He does not. Okay. So everybody who's local and is a carpenter having a problem, painter, anybody who in your village around the place, no, they are probably some people are skeptical, don't come into my house, put a mask, and if you do all of that and sanitize, come and work. Point I'm making is that whichever jobs are local, okay, they are going on and those people are getting salaries. And those people who are working for companies and other places and need to go to an office and all of that, they're the ones who are sitting at home. Of course, some online jobs are going on and that's a wonderful thing. Lucky people. So that's the first point I want to make. Okay, and if we are going to see viruses like this coming, again and again, point I want to make is this is a very strange and very strong and new virus, and it seems to break all norms. Up till now, whatever we knew of virus, you would get a viral attack, for 4 or 5 days, and that's what we know about a virus. This is the first time there's a virus that is hibernating for 14 days, and it's really out of the blue. So, what is the visibility of our future? And here's a second wave supposed to be coming, and it's already on in some places as per worldwide agencies. So we're looking at a scenario where something is going to come again and again, and we have to understand to live in this new norm, which is kind of limited mobility. Okay, so I'm encouraging people, especially of my friends who are counselors and healers and therapists. They are of course doing it themselves. I'm also setting an example by doing online workshops. So those jobs are going on. So the reason I'm making a case for more and more local and jobs to happen local, that's the advantage. If you get work with your skills in and around your area, and there are some rumors that if it gets worse, the states are going to be locked down. State borders are going to be locked down. Probably only trucks with food and other essential supplies may come in January or something like that. So it definitely makes sense, and people cannot go without money and hungry, and then finally the government has to kind of give you a dole or give you some monthly sustenance. I'm sure people, rather than that, they would really feel alive if they are doing the kind of work that they like and get paid for it. So I've seen also so many people who are at home now. They're trying to do things at home, making arts and crafts, or baking home goods, or trying to grow a little. They have had land over there that was fallow, and nobody was using it, and they're growing a few things, making some food for themselves. And so that's what we the reason to create more local jobs is because of this scenario. And people need to be busy doing something and keeping their energy going, keeping a little exercise going. Otherwise, people are really getting depressed when they see that there's no end to this and their jobs are gone and they're wondering what is going to come now. Second thing is eco-friendly, right? All across the world, there's a lot of destruction happening, and especially that in Goa. I think there are about maybe 100 environmental groups in Goa or more who are protesting against so many commercial activities or companies like even Adani coming inside here and not really doing anything within the state but just moving through the state, and it's causing the entire state such a havoc in terms of natural resources getting destroyed. So it is known that and I'm seeing this in a state, if the local people have not found out ways and means to generate money and keep money circulating in the state, they are not going to be wealthy and there's going to be lack. That's when the government is going to bring out, bigger companies and transnational corporations and big projects, try to make Goa an IT hub and try to make Goa the center, central plant for processing garbage of not only Goa but other states too. That's when these, projects come in. So that's the importance of local jobs. And Goa has traditionally been a farming community and just harvesting things like coconut trees falling down from the sky and plucking out mangoes and just harvesting off the land. And now, of course, there are no fish left in the sea, so you have to get another income. And I made this point yesterday also in the sustainable living a webinar where people in Goa, now everybody is, most of the environmentalists are talking about, a lot of land being converted from agriculture to settlement because more and more construction. So people want to come, there's an influx of people into Goa from other states. States that have destroyed the environment, live in concrete jungles, and it's so congested and, unhealthy that they want to run away from Delhi, Mumbai, Pune, and all of that and come here. And that's fine. But when that kind of influx and people come here and builder lobbies also making multi-story buildings for them, making this the next concrete jungle that I think all of us would want to run away from in the next 10 years. It is clearly something that's not going to work, right? People have to think, from where am I coming, and am I coming and here to make the same thing possible? What happened 10 years back in my state? This is my own story. That's why I know it's so clear. 2010, I ran away from Bombay literally because I got fed up of the congestion and pollution and the stress life in my engineering field, and I came here for better, more greenery, good air, very easy to drive roads, not so much traffic, and now I'm slowly seeing parts of Bombay happening over here. So that's what happens now when people come in and the local people are not having enough money. I have a 600 this square meters plot just next to my house of my ancestral plot, and whatever anybody in the country or from the world offers me, I'm never going to sell that plot. I just keep it for my own joy. I'm growing sweet potatoes and groundnuts in it this year, and that's for my own joy. I don't need to sell it because I do certain businesses that make enough money for me. So if every Goan, had a local business, a small entrepreneurship, and they made money enough for their children's education, for their own, cultural activities, traveling around here and there, going out of India for, to Dubai or wherever they want to go once a year. If people just had that kind of money, then they would not need to sell their land. For me, it's very clear that people in Goa are selling land because they're running out of money. So if we want to keep this balance, you see, of people retaining land, and of course others are welcome into Goa, but when they come here, they should maintain the ethos and the culture and the heritage. We would all love to see more and more villas and Portuguese kind of architecture happen here in Goa, because that's what the whole world comes here for. The world doesn't come here for multi-story buildings. Unfortunately, I've got just in my area only, I've got three buildings come up of 3 stories, and it really doesn't look like how it was 5 years back. So that's the point that I'm making. Very important for people to start doing local businesses. If the state and the state policies are, kind of not helping it and just operations into India. I mean, today I saw in the newspaper the blue economy, right? And some of us are very happy and jumping about it. But I can see the same commercialization happening. So to make that big blue hub and that place in those huge tankers that are supposed to go out way out into the sea, they're going to open some big companies, and crores of rupees are going to go into making those tankers. That money is all dealing between those shipping agencies and whoever's into the business, where I don't see the plan for our government, trying to create more fish in the sea and give all of the fishermen of Goa, go by the laws, during the monsoon, no fishing ban, the net sizes. I mean, the fish are ready to come from the sea to our shores to get netted. All that we have to do is manage that system. But no, we don't want to do something natural. We don't want to do something that will help the how many 100,000 fishermen that are there on the coast. But we make this big plan, big money, big companies to go in the middle of the Arabian Sea to take out fish from there. So you see, this is how this in system by system is collapsing, all because the local people are not being supported by proper policies to generate local income.
Great. Thanks, Darryl. I think this puts things in perspective, because then it comes about, even if they are tourists coming in, they should think about the ecosystem. And finally, what you've said is very important, that how do we take care of our resources? And that's where Edward comes in with aquaculture, especially about the fish. So from here now, we'll go to the next question, which is, what kind of business are you doing locally, and what more can be done in Goa? So, Edward, would you like to respond?
Yeah. Okay. I came into agriculture and farming 3 years back. Okay. It actually happened like, I saw people struggling to get their food. I started with supplies of fresh veggies and fruits coming from other states. But every time when I went to supply this, people started asking me, where are the local producers you have? So that is the time I started looking out for local produce. Met a lot of farmers to give me the local produce, but it was difficult to get them. So finally, I had to get down to do farming myself and got into the fields. Since I had my roots actually as a childhood going to the fields and growing something with my grandparents, I said, why not do it? Leave aside the qualification that I have. You need food to eat. Money comes in. Okay, so I started doing agriculture, and this actually started with integrated sort of farming, where I tried a concept of doing poultry, fish, and paddy together. And when I did this, I realized that if you do it combined, you get more money than doing an individual thing. So paddy gave me just 18,000 from the land what I cultivated. It was a 600 square meter plot. So paddy gave me around 18,000. The income what I earned from the fish was around 32,000, and the poultry, selling eggs and all that stuff, was another 17, 18,000. So total came to around 64,000. If I had to just do paddy, it was like, just 18,000 that I would get, or maybe like, 25,000. But here I increased my income using just simple methods of doing integrated farming. And the cost came down actually because of integrated. Like I didn't have to use the external menus and all that stuff. So whatever fish generated was fertilizer for the paddy, and what poultry dirt was there was the food feed for the fish. So that was like I started. Okay, there is money into it. Why not go into full-fledged farming? So then I started working. Since this was an organic farming attempt, I said, why not go into organic farming where there is a lot of money? And from there on, started working on organic. Started with a community farming project. It was doing well, but because of pandemic, we had to halt for some time, which I'll be doing it all over again. And then started with my own doing alsandas, which I exported last year, last season, in fact, not last year, last season. And it was like 2 tons that I exported through Asian. I did moong around 1,400 kilos, like again, out of which 800, like I gave it for export. So there is money. Only thing you need to know the sources where you can send it across and you can get money. This year, in fact, I cultivated passion fruits on a 4,000 square meter, and which I'm sending it for processing. Again, processing is one place where you can extract money. I create gels and send it to the bakery. So there's a middleman who takes it from me and then he supplies it to the bakery stuff and all that for toppings and making the fancy pastries and all that. So I get my money, he gets his cut. So processing. Agriculture is not just you produce. You cultivate, produce something and then forget it. If you can do something like value-added products, there is money. I do have galangal which is grown. Again, I'm giving it to someone who's exporting it. I've done it on a 2,000 square meter land, and somebody is taking it from my field, in fact. So he's taking it off from there. Now, again, you do all these things like to have a better health and healthy food. You do organic. Organic is very much possible in Goa. Goa can be self-reliant in all those things. Like if people get together and start an attempt and do farming, very much possible. Now, we say land is an issue. Of course, it's an issue. But it is how you approach people to get that land. We have a lot of land which is barren here. If youths today or the people who have come down, lost their jobs, can actually go to their villages and request people to give their land and then start a community farming project. And when they do it, they should do it around the year, not just just one crop. Make the best use of the land and try to get extracted much more. And if they have family members at home who are willing to help them, put them down into value-added production. They can do the value-added and then double the income. This income, what they double, is like if you work it out around the year, it can be much more than what they can earn abroad. And of course, you can feed the local people with the local produce. Now, it says better health via healthy food and farming. Yeah. Now, in fact, government came up with the concept of doing cluster organic farmings and all that. Now, when you talk about cluster farming, see, we have land in bits and pieces which you need to combine together. And when you put together all the farmers together and do this, it's very much possible that you can have your organic farming in Goa itself. As I said, the small growers can get small piece of land. They can actually get together and jointly do this organic farming. And the produce that they get can be sent for value-added products, which is again giving a lot of money. Now, value-added products can be, in the different forms, which can be utilized in Goa. As I said, I'm doing gel of passion fruits. 50% is utilized by the Goan bakers itself. And it's totally organic. There's no external fertilizers used. It's only the organic fertilizer that being utilized. Yeah.
Yes, Edward, thank you. I will just share with the audience the points that were put down there. So first was, of course, the organic farming clusters, where some farmers are already in that scheme and producing under that scheme. And I yet have to see that supply come into the market, because it doesn't seem that there's any much more organic produce. Though even we spoke on our last topic about organic farming, where it was made known to us that 4,500 farmers are doing organic farming clusters, but I don't see organic food flooding the market. So I'm wondering what's going on there. And Nestor Angel also, he could not get in that scheme, and then he advised, whether you get in that scheme or you don't, please do organic farming yourself on your plot. So that's the next scale of small scale farmers doing natural farming for for supplying food to themselves, and whatever extra produce they make, they bring it and sell it to these organic markets or farming farmers markets. That's what I do myself as a farmer and my friends around here. Whatever produce we make, which is excess than our consumption, we come and sell it on the market. So that's a very budding space where people can grow food locally depending on the kind of land you have, and sell it at the local market. Then Edward already mentioned value addition to organic produce by converting them into products for the food industry and health industry, and also the wellness industry, fitness industry. So we grow those foods that are people keep in mind as healthy fats like avocado and all that, which grows in Goa. Definitely there is business, better business income and all of that. Next point is, about the coconut tree. There's nano farm in south of Goa making about over 100 products from just the coconut. Okay, and then there are other, and we don't see. I mean, there are coconuts falling from the sky here in Goa, and why don't we hear that Goa is producing these 100 varieties of coconut products? Like I had a wine goblet and I had a soup bowl also of coconut made. You see, why isn't it flooding in Goa, and why isn't every state in India knowing that these amazing coconut products come out? Because it's missing. So that mentioned yesterday, cooperatives where that can be funded. If farmers themselves don't have money to put in at the start, a cooperative can be created, and some wealthy people or Goans out of Goa who want to see Goa progress, they can put money into that and create these incomes and local jobs and wonderful products. Besides coconut, there's also like the palm leaf and the areca nut leaf, out of which you make cutlery and spoons and plates. There's also so many bamboo products. So a lot of products that can be made for Goans and out of Goa. So it's a lot of opportunity for business and income. The next is growing medicinal herbs for natural wellness medicine industry in Goa and across the state, the country. And there's one stream of growing plants such as lemongrass, which is very local to Goa, tulsi, hibiscus, jasmine, and all for these healing herbal teas. Even I sell a range of 12 healing herbal teas, and people all across the country take it from me. But some of them are, like rosemary and nettle and chamomile, lavender, which grow in the northern plains of India. But the rest, whatever can grow in Goa, at least, that's another place where money can be made. Then also growing herbs such as eucalyptus, peppermint, vetiver, and all that to make essential oils. It's a very niche product of aromatherapy and essential oils for the entire wellness industry across the world. And we can tap into that also and grow those plants. The next was, of course, what we know, people are saving seeds and making seed banks, so that now small time farmers can also grow. I sell seeds on the market, I sell saplings on the market. And finally, in this natural and however possible nutritive farming, we also have aeroponics, aquaponics, hydroponics, and now inland aquaculture, what Edward is into. And that means you are creating certain spaces or areas on land where you can grow fish. I appreciate that much more. If 1,000 of these come all along the coast of Goa, and our local fishermen can do this, I appreciate that more, rather than some big companies going in the middle of the sea and getting fish for us. So By that, are the local farmers going to make money? No. Some shipping companies and those big companies that bring out the fish, I think Goans will only lose money by paying, high prices for those fish. So uh, I'm just going to the next slide where it was, we already know that these are regular products that go out from Goa, and they're also wonderful money makers. Sorry, the next was on this. There is the bowl, the coconut bowl and soup bowl with spoons, and we already know that there were traditional, at least 20 items of the coconut product, and now you get the coconut coir also, which is a fabricated wonderful one. You get activated charcoal, which is a very prime product. It's just from burning the coconut shells. So good coconut shells, you can make all these products, and bad coconut shells, you can burn it and make carbon black. And that's called activated charcoal. In fact, I had to buy it from Amazon. Why didn't I get it in Goa? So even this cocoa peat, what we use for farming. So I clearly believe that there are about over 100 products that can be made of the coconut tree. So these are the businesses I think that people need to get into and invest in. Um, and here was what was mentioned earlier: the palm nut and erica nut leaf products. I'm selling them on the Earthkeepers market in Goa, but they are all coming from Bangalore, okay, in Karnataka. So I'm saying Goa is again losing out on all of this. That is all natural produce, and these come from plants, and all plants are a renewable resource. Once you harvest one, you can grow another 10. So, so this is without taking out mines from the ground and petrol from the under the earth. These are renewable resources and eco-friendly. So that's what's important. All plant produced, I would like our audience to know, is renewable, and yeah, you can make products from them that last for teak door and a chair would last for over 100 years. In that time, you can grow 100 teak trees for the next generation. And yes, finally, this is also the value added section of food. And here's one very interesting thing. It's much like the coconut tree. I think next to the coconut tree, hemp is also an amazing plant that can be grown, and you can see all the products that can be made from hemp. There is one range of textiles, industrial textiles, paper, food, body care, building materials. You can even make bricks. And on my market, I sell this hemp oil. Okay, it's a very highly valued medicinal oil for patients with joint pains, arthritis, cancer, inflammation of the joints, digestive disorders, even for urinary tract problems. It really works well. So hemp oil is medicinal, very high value. People are selling 1 liter for 8,000 rupees. Okay, and you also get hemp seeds or hemp kernels, which are very high in protein. So I think somebody should get into this. Of course, there are legalities with hemp, and if all the legal norms are met, I'm sure that can be a very amazing, industry by itself. So that's what I just wanted to show about what on the topic that Edward spoke, and he took his points onto a slide. So now I would please pass it on to Varun.
Okay, firstly, thank you so much, Darryl and Edward, for that insightful, session. I mean, I could actually imagine all this, and it's lovely the way you have actually projected it. I'm pretty sure soon people will be inspired to get more and more into this, and we can actually see a revolution coming up, hopefully. And during this course, Warner, I'll be really glad if we can converse a little bit, because I always want people to get involved in whatever I talk about. So I'll ask you a few questions. You can answer them as we go, right?
Sure. Because finally, all these experiences finally need to, travel to more people, and that's really what you're doing. So sure.
Absolutely. So 3 years back, as Edward was looking at feeding us and feeding us naturally and making sure that we eat right, I had just come back from Germany, and the whole idea was the tourism scene in Goa was very different. I mean, Goa was only known for parties, beaches, and people were slowly missing out on a lot of things which Goa should be known for. There are a lot of factors to it. There was never projection of branding of Goa as such. And people slowly around the world or in India as well wanted to move into what is called experience-based tourism. They wanted to take something back from a place where they visit rather than just doing the sightseeing model that a lot of people follow. So the whole idea behind soul traveling was making sure that you take travel as a part of your life rather than just just going and just seeing. And it's like it should be something that you kind of live by rather than something that you do when there is a luxury. Okay. It started 3 years back with a few questions that were in our minds. I mean, you would have gone outside Goa and said, I'm from Goa. And what were the responses that you got? I mean, have you got certain responses like this?
So that's the thing, because I'm talking to you from Kalangut Beach, and these friends keep coming and they tell me finally, exactly. You must be at the beach 24/7. You must be constantly guzzling beer and you must be eating non-veg all the time. These are the typical questions which come in.
And I've heard questions like one of my friends even heard a question like, are there even colleges in Goa where people go and study? It's like people always imagine it as more of a party destination. And stereotypes exist with all places. And first thing was always to accept that such a stereotype exists in Goa. And the whole journey was how to slowly change it, how to slowly have more to Goa than what was projected. It started a while back. So I was in Germany and I just happened to come across this somewhere. Can you guess what this is, Werner? Like, where would I have seen this? I mean, just in the middle of nowhere.
I don't know. I thought this was like some kind of museum or something, like a typical art gallery, looks like.
It is an art gallery, but not a typical one. So this, if you read carefully, is there's this Karlsburg Brewery. I guess it's in Copenhagen. And this is inside the Karlsburg Brewery when I visited it. And I was really surprised by seeing a swastika there. And then I happened to know that swastika was in fact the logo of Karlsburg till 1940s. And then they discontinued it, right? Because of the meaning of the word that was being used. What I realized here is the stories are very interesting. If you look really closely, you can find some very interesting stories about a lot of things, right? The second thing was this. So if you visit Paris, this is a place called Catacombs, and you go, like, you pay a 30 euros ticket and you wait in a long queue of 1 hour. Then you go down on a tunnel, like slowly walk down. And what you see in front of you is this. So can you guess what this is?
I can't guess. Oh, yeah, I can make out now. It's all skulls and bones and...
Absolutely. They're all skeletons and 6 billion of them. Now, this is amazing. I mean, the experience is amazing. But think about it. In Paris, you actually pay 30 euros to see skeletons. See the level of marketing and see the level of projection that has gone into that, right? You making people. And in Goa and India, we have so many interesting stories to tell, and we just don't kind of use it in the right way. We don't share the stories in the right way. So that was how soul traveling was. Yes, Manu.
Because your swastika concept talks about India, and if somebody connects that with swastika in India, it would, be I feel cross international kind of trip. Like, they see what
absolutely
there, yes. What it means here.
Absolutely, and there are so many of them, especially in Goa, around us, in the villages, in the places that you visit regularly, in our backyards. You could see so many of them. I did when I was growing up as a kid. I could just see stories around the cashew fruit. Like an example of cashew fruit is, the feni, and people are really surprised how we made feni out of it. Like, the cashew fruit is not really Indian. It was brought from Brazil. And then you have Goans making feni out of it and getting a GI tag for it. So stories like those were very interesting to me. And that's how we started with the whole journey of soul traveling. So last 3 years, we have actually catered to more than 8,000 customers. These are locals as well as tourists. So what we were really surprised with, a lot of locals, in fact, wanted to know their backyards better. So we had people from these villages, these cities who have stayed there for a long time, who wanted to know more about their places. Like, I stay in Margaon, and the next village is Rashol, which is supposed to be one of the most interesting forts and one of the historic cities. And there is a huge seminary there and stuff like that. people used to pass that and they used to never know about it. So that is what we try to bring towards out to the people. So we worked with local communities and we created what we call experiences. So we have 35 plus of them in Goa, right from something around the food, like the pav, how it is made and everything, to village excursions where we visit places like Aldona and Moira and Kandolim. Kandolim, in fact, has such a beautiful side to it. I mean, we do this Kandolim trail called Rediscovering Kandolim. And trust me, you'll be surprised by what it has to offer. I mean, there are those very unique graves in Kandolim, which I don't know if you've seen because they are all covered now. But it has a story to World War II. Like these two graves in Kandolim, which are in the middle of nowhere, as a connection to World War II in Goa. So things like this is something that we wanted to project out. So we have 100 plus hosts, people who either take you on the trail, people who welcome you on different like houses, or they have something like maybe a club, like a not a dance club, but a village club, like what we have in Moira, a community club. And then there are other people, and this is all brought together to create this very, very unique experiences. What we also did after the pandemic hit us is we connected with all the experience creators around the world. We connected with people from Tanzania, from other parts of the world, Granada and Spain to Argentina. And what we realized is the quality of experiences here is what is happening around the world, probably as good as what is happening. So the things are there. We just have to kind of realize the potentials and put it out. Last year, we got covered as one of the trails that we did called the Christian Art Trail in Old Goa was covered as one of the most unconventional walks in India by Live Mint. What we do here is we talk about this very Goan art called Kavi, which is found in churches of Old Goa. Now, if you visit Old Goa, you'll probably go to the Basilica or the Say Cathedral, which are the main churches. But if you go a little towards this side and you go towards this place called the Holy Hill, while restoring these churches, what they discovered is this beautiful red art called Kavi, which are found in these churches. And the stories behind them are mind-blowing. So apart from that, there was something in National Geographic, Condé Nast Travelers, and it was talking more about slow travel, talking about experiencing, exploring, connecting with the local communities. And that is what all our focus is. So we have something called Reconnect to Goa, where we want you to talk more about the festival. Can you guess, by the way, what this picture is all about?
No, I remember some festival, but I can't place it actually. That's the thing.
Okay, I think if you're, I think last year Datta Prasad would have mentioned this because he comes from this village, and you can very well project it as one of the very interesting festivals in India. Probably compare it to the Tomatina festival that happens in Spain, and this is basically Chical Calo, which happens in Marshall.
Oh, okay.
So, as the name suggests, Chical is obviously mud, and Calo is kind of playing. So you play in mud. Okay, it happens every year in Marseille, and it's a beautiful festival. The only thing is we have not projected it out properly, probably to the world. Goans know it, Goans love it, but the world or India, the rest of people should know more about this because trust me, these are very interesting experiences. Now, if I tell you, it is like, I don't want to tell you history because it's old or traditional. I want to tell you history because it is interesting. And that's the whole idea behind it. This is all fun. I mean, we can't compete with an experience of going to a casino, but by just saying, come because this is old or something, it's as good or not better than, doing that. That's why we are trying to project this side of tourism.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Varun, I'm so happy with this because I think we can teach a, lesson to Spain instead of wasting food. This is actually mud is, therapeutic. It's a therapy actually, and health and, healing you get from
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah. I think Darryl, your insight will be very interesting on this, and we can actually project it, very nicely to everyone in the world.
Yeah, because there's so many
we do. Yeah. Sorry.
No. So there's just so many festivals. Suddenly I read about some festival where you're walking on fire and all of those other festivals. Every time you read the paper, there's a different festival in Goa. It's just amazing, actually.
I'm telling you, in at least twice a month, we have something very unique, like a festival happening in Goa. I mean, right from something called Shisharani in Kankon to Musarkher in Chandor. This is so much there, and no one has actually tried to dig deep and project it out. But we're really happy that slowly that is happening. A lot of more people are coming into this field as well. So these are the kind of experiences that we work on. Now, this is something in Varpoi. If you see on my the top left corner, it's something. It's called a date, and people used to like grind. It's a grinding stone basically. They used to like grind, and they used to sing something called OVO. Okay, so the whole idea of that being and having a breakfast in a kuragar, which is like a natural plantation there, sitting down, having it on coconut leaves. We had a little problem here because the whole idea was trying to go wasteless for this trail. So we worked with Sarita Sudhakaran. We were trying to get her help to go completely wasteless in all our trails. I think one of these trails had a little plastic glass cup or something which the house owner gave, and after that we were like pushing them not to use any sort of plastics or any sort of waste materials on any of our trails. So I think we were also learning because a lot of times we just this slowly educates even the people who are involved, right? So that's what we were slowly trying to get with these trails as well. So going deep into the village, trying to see the stories, and going into the houses, which is fun. I mean, the owners stories of the owners are very interesting, and these are not only what you call the big aristocratic houses. These are even small fisher folk houses, going to local house. It's all there. So that is what we created over the past 3 years. And we worked for smiles. Basically, we wanted people to be happy. So this group consists of Goans as well as non-Goans, and when they interact with people who are who have lived here for a long time, I mean, you might recognize the famous architect Dean De Cruz there, who's we visited one of his house as one of our part of our Saligao Trail, Houses of Goa Trail. And when you interact, when you hear the stories, the smile that comes is I mean it's not measurable basically. So that's what soul traveling is all about. And slowly we are trying to get the local communities involved, trying to push more different experiences, learning from what is happening around the world, connecting with people who are doing similar things in India and across the world. So slowly we hope tourism in Goa will see a change, and people will want to explore more than what or get more than what they are shown. Thank you for this, Werner. Thank you. So you can over to you.
Yeah, sure. So, Darryl, would you like to take over?
Yes, yes. And I just want to, yeah, thank you, Varun. That was a very, wonderful, eco-friendly and, fun-loving and good experience, model that
Thank
you're
you.
following. And
Thank
I'm
you,
sure
Rahul.
there's, a lot of scope for more and more people to get involved in it through your company. And yes, now people are sitting at home, start enrolling them and kind of getting them to make some money too.
Darryl, I think I should take you for the Kandolim experience because it happens right next to your house there. So we'll
Yeah.
go around and we'll figure out more ways to kind of build on it. Yes.
Definitely, definitely. I'm in for that if it's close to my place. So I just want to show, the next part of the presentation. That's where I was going to present on what I talked about last year also. It is this wellness tourism. Now, the idea is to create local jobs, and from this, so what I follow is integrative natural medicine system. Okay, where you can learn these therapies, and I teach them online also. And for somebody to become good and proficient, it can even just take 3 months. Okay, so integrative natural therapy is about diet and nutrition. Then it's about natural cleanse or detox with herbs. Then it's about acupressure. I do a very interesting acupressure workshop that teaches people acupressure within 1 day. And then it's practice that makes them more proficient. Okay, then there are how to use herbs for healing. And all of these integrative natural medicine, I've been working in this field since 15 years. So you have something that's called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. That's also tapping. So that's for emotional phobias and addictions. And the best thing for drug addicts, for alcoholics, for smokers, for people with anxiety and phobias. And that just takes like about 15 days a month to learn. and practice, you become proficient in 2-3 months. So the idea was, and I'm a specialist in reversing chronic illnesses with integrated natural therapy. And I've taught doctors and, all across the country as well, even from AIMS, that is All India Institute of Medical Sciences. And some of the doctors have asked me to make a teachers training module because they were so impressed with all of that. They used it on themselves and their patients, and it's, doing wonders. I have a book on it also called Become Healthy or Extinct, and it's on the website by the same name. Now, the idea with all of this is to make it much more simpler. And there are so many, there are hundreds of therapies in the world that I don't practice also. Some could be energy healing. And but I have hosted all of these conferences on mind, body, spirit, wellness. I've done benchmark events in the country, continued medical spiritual education conferences where the best in the country have come and participated and shown their skills. So that discipline involves, and when we use such disciplines, you have chronic illnesses like high BP, cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, hormonal imbalance, heart problems, plaque, cholesterol, kidney, liver. All of these can be reversed within 3 months if you do things in an integrated way. So this is a wonderful system, and so many of the therapies are ancient Indian systems. Even yoga, pranayama, meditation is all part of this integrative natural medicine practice. And the picture that you can see over there is my house, where I was doing all of this on a private basis with one-to-one clients since 2011 that I came here, and it went on to 2019. And now I'm doing it at a much bigger place. Starting off this year, we were doing 50, 2 health programs. That is one for each weekend, each Sunday of the year. We were doing it at the Rejuvenation Center in Kalangut. And we had other therapists also there. So this is a natural, integrative natural medicine system. And in the, the prototype that I have designed, they even have a doctor, an MBBS doctor, but they work mostly on the diagnostic part of illnesses, not on the treatment part, because we all know that allopathic medicines do not cure you of any illness. It's just a life support system, and you have to take it for the rest of your life. And in fact, so many of these medications, they do kidney damage, liver damage, and all types of things if you take it for a long time. So this natural medicine system, that's what last year also I spoke about. We should create about 1,000 wellness centers like this in Goa, and without much of a new infrastructure, without making new concrete jungle. Just take old Portuguese villas. You can imagine I was doing a small setup just with my hall and 2 rooms. Okay. Now at the center over there, I have a bigger space. But any old Portuguese villa with a nice big hall and just 3-4 bedrooms that are vacant, probably in a couple of bedrooms, some of the house owners are still staying, or some vacant villa. That can be done up, refurbished. Maybe somebody in the area can, put in money as take it like a business if the house owners can't afford it. So local houses and can get rental income. Then all of our local, these are very high niche. Like I said, it takes just 3 months to educate and train people. But the value in this is you get a price of even up to 1,500 just to do a foot reflexology session, which takes just 1 hour and 15 minutes. So do you use any resources? Do you use any? There's nothing that you take from nature. Okay, you just use your own skills. So that's 100% profit. Just given your time, and you made 1,500 rupees. So like this, so many different treatments are there which are highly valued in the world. So my first thing is that this wellness, instead of this big policy in India, they think it's some rocket science. These mohalla clinics. I think in Goa we should have 1,000 natural wellness centers that actually cure people, and not these mohalla clinics. I just want to talk to our people in Goa if they are planning to do this, because this system that I promote and I've been teaching, it's a global standard and it's the future of medicine. That's what is important. And the big thing is reverses all these illnesses within 3 to 4, 5 months, depending how much sincerity the patient themselves. If they change the diet, they do the acupressure, they do their pranayama, meditation, yoga, they do the natural herb cleanses. I've had people reversing diabetes within 1 month, 2 months, and so many other illnesses. So That is what I think creates. And besides, when you make these wellness centers, you are looking for healthy food. So you promote organic farmers and you go and buy from natural farmers markets in your area. So here's one business really creating the demand for another business of organic farming. Then you also are in the business of you want to clean the air, the water, you want to make more lawns wherever these spaces are. So this kind of industry actually rejuvenates the land compared to commercial tourism, where people are just creating a lot of garbage and so many other things are happening in the name of tourism, the negative elements that we know about. So so in this, it's it's listed, we can get and it's full time. Who is not sick in the year from Goa? Okay, so it's full time money. That means first you take care of your local population, and then any of the wellness centers, they can treat people from outside Goa. So Goa can become the wellness destination for India and even for international travelers. Uh, and there can be different calibers, because that's how some people can pay $100 for a treatment. Some people can pay 500 or 1,000 for it. So we can have the one grade, then we can have a 3-star kind of thing, and we can have a 5-star kind of thing. So there's a lot of business. And finally, all these therapists who get trained, they will make money. Then to run the wellness center, you need people, maintenance staff, you need people at the reception, and you need cleaners, and you need gardeners and all that. Each wellness center is going to employ 40, 50 people. So, and it's really good work. And compared to that earlier scenario, people were getting agitated that the mining was closed. So all those poor mining laborers, they're out of jobs. I don't know which mining laborer would not choose to come in a nice place like this to teach some yoga, to teach some medicine, do some body work, do some massage therapy, press somebody's foot with acupressure, help them do natural cleanses, help them do the naturopathy treatments, whether it's a hip bath, this nature stroke, whatever, right? Instead of breathing that, all that dust from the mines and getting sick and dying, young. So I think this is one of the most amazing things that can happen for Goa in terms of just this one project, which will create a lot of money, a lot of employment, and make Goa natural once again. And here, same in the presentation, what it says is boost local travel agents. So travel agents, they will keep on making money. The people who drive taxis, the guy who do the chartered flights and all, but people are coming in for a much better experience, and it's eco-friendly and natural, and even better, it rejuvenates the land. So some other things that we presented last year, and this presentation was made by 3-4 of us last year. Datta Prasad Shetkar, he presented it along with Roshan Matthias. So I'm going to show you a little bit of that presentation as well. So here was one more scope for business, because there's so much of garbage in Goa. That's why this business has come up. So it's garbage management, and there are few players over here in Goa, which you can see on the screen, who are into this business, and there is money to be made from it as well. So that's another employment and business opportunity. So the next is here. We've covered some of these, but this is a very important point that I want to make: education. Now I'm just doing this kind of education which is missing in our textbooks, in our schools. In our schools, I never learned in school how to not get diabetes, or how to heal my body, or how to detox my body. I learned a lot of biology, and that has been useless. Whether the human body has got 134 or 196 bones, I don't know till now, but that will never serve me for the rest of my life. Okay. But just understanding a bit about digestion, because that's something that happens to you every day. What is good food, bad food? If you get sick, how to heal with herbs, how to heal with therapy, how to heal with good foods. And that's why my book, even the Indian Air Force, when I went to Delhi, they invited me to their headquarters and asked me, can you make this book a little simpler version of your book for the children? Because we want to circulate it in 250 schools across the country. So I'm saying education about all of these wellness, healing therapies, education about farming, all these wellness centers, and that's what we do at our wellness center. There are education programs going on, all of these things: health, food, farming, how to make environmental solutions. So all of these wellness centers in the big Portuguese halls, they can hold up to 40, 50 people. At our center over there in the Portuguese house, there we have workshops of about 50 people. And then we go to bigger areas where we do 200 people, and there's a huge hall for 1,000 people too. So people will definitely pay for education, and I'm doing some programs for some of the schools of Goa as well, because this is, I did not approach them. The teachers who came and learned my program, they said we need this education in school, it is missing. So I think a lot of scope is there for this new holistic education that can be done by healers, therapists, natural medicine practitioners, naturopaths, yoga teachers, meditation teachers, energy medicine people. And that's where I think the world needs the most help right now, with everybody's immunity that is so low that a simple virus is trying to take the whole world out. I think that's scope for a very big business and very necessary. Some other points here is yeah, we presented. In fact, now when you see this presentation, it says rainwater harvesting system, eco products, sewage treatment systems. I would like our viewers to go to the landing page of the New Earth Summit, and every topic and speaker over there is a green business. Okay, please go there and you will see at least 30 green businesses that are coming. If they're not big enough in Goa, you can venture into the business, you can invest in it, and spread it all across this land and across the country too. So that's what I wanted to share with everyone regarding the options that are possible. And my commitment, because I know doctors, healers, therapists across this country, I have groups that are totaling to about 50,000 people. And if ever this, I'm looking forward to it, forming a natural medicine committee in Goa that can put forth this model and approach the government, the health ministry, and all of that, because there is the task force is there. There are a lot of healers and therapists and yoga teachers and all of that in Goa. So the workforce is there to make this happen. And I think it can be the most amazing thing for Goa.
That's fabulous, Darryl. Thank you. Because see, what's happened is that everyone is building infrastructure. Edward's been talking about infrastructure around food. What Varun's been talking about is lifestyle. Changing people's lifestyle to these experiences. And Darryl's been talking about the infrastructure around wellness. So this is most important because our audience needs to be in touch with you all, and this is where more and more livelihoods can be created. So that brings us to our next question, which is, how can our audience get in touch with you to know more about your views and your work? So Edward, if you would like to start now.
I'm accessible on my mobiles anytime. Now you can actually come and see my project on inland aquaculture that's happening in the heart of city Panjim. Maybe it's going to function end of November. It's a totally different concept in Goa on fish farming. Okay, and it's a high density fish project. So I would like people to visit there once it's done. So I would like to put out my details actually, my number, and in fact the email. Yeah.
Varun, would you like to share your?
Sure. So we are very active on social media like Facebook, Instagram. We'll constantly have something or the others. We also have stuff on newspaper. There are always listings going out for the trails. We're accessible on mobile, website, internet. So my mobile number is 7378-301-863. I'll put this in the chat as well. Or you can just check our website, soultraveling.in. So it's soul traveling with a double L, sorry. There's no traveling with double E. With a double L, of course. So soultraveling.in, soultraveling.in. You'll get all the details. You can personally also send an email. Email ID is also listed there, or even the company email ID. We are all accessible to that mail. So, and Facebook, Instagram, just go for Soul Traveling. You'll find all the details there as well. So I think that should be easy enough.
Darryl?
So another two avenues where, business can happen, and they're also eco-friendly, and that's in the renewable energy space. So this part is what Roshan Matthias had presented last year. Um, and I still think, there's always innovation happening in the solar energy field, where efficiencies are getting, better and better. So instead of, getting so much of electricity from outstate, in the, effort to be self-reliant and self-sufficient, I think this is also very important. And this is the installations that have been done. Of course, people know about it. But in this, there is a businessman who makes money out of it. Then he requires, laborers and technicians and all that. So there's another, set of people who get employment from it. People get, the house owners get a service and, electricity. And finally, there is a system where, as per the government also, you can produce enough to kind of feed the grid back. Okay, so once your initial investment is done, and if you're and you consume power for yourself, then you can produce excess and give it back to the grid. So it's actually now becoming a business that people can make money. They've invested and they can recover their investment faster by supplying energy back to the grid. So here's a bill like -68. That means you have to be paid. Instead of having an electricity bill, now you are being paid for electricity. So this is a wonderful advantage of the system. Solar. Here's another installation in Ponda. Then the next is wind power, and we know that there is a lot of wind in Goa, especially because it's a coastal area, and so even wind turbines can happen here. More efficient versions can be brought in that give electricity. So again, same thing. Contractor earns money. There are laborers who will make money out of it, and it's eco-friendly and generating renewable energy. So people can get in touch with Roshan Matthias for that service. And yes, I will come back and just share my contact details. Anybody can go to my website. It's www.darreldesouza.com. And there you will see a list of my other websites. It's just one main landing page where you'll first see my section on health, then my section on healing and therapies and wellness groups across India that I've created. You will see my work on organic farming, on environment, my TEDx talks on all of these topics. So that is the place to go, darreldesouza.com.
Great. Thanks, Darryl. And this is very interesting because it brings us to our first question, which is Goa also ideal for off-grid living as well? And this is, of course, open to everybody because I feel everybody can contribute to this. You'd like to start with this, Darryl, since...
Yeah, now off-grid living, it depends from just what I've shown you. Okay, so there's a scope of solar power and there's a scope of wind power and also water power, but maybe small turbines, and they will have to go, next to the catchment areas where we know that a lot of brooks and streams and all are flowing. And I don't see, so probably off the grid, if there's a village community, that's something that I'm trying to create here in Goa, an eco village. And when we look for land, we look for land with water and probably some brooks and streams, and channelize that. So if you have good amount of water flowing, you can put a small turbine on it, or 3 4 turbines in your area, and get electricity from that also. So, and even do the traditional turbines, which have got more kind of seawater treated wood. So like how you have all your gates for all the kazans and all of that, that lasts for almost a century. So that can happen. And for off the grid living, I look at more from an angle of um, designing a self-sustained community as an example of what the real system should be, because we have designed a very destructive way of living, where people are staying like in a metro city in all concrete jungles, and they don't get sunlight, so they don't get vitamin D. Then they are getting tap water which is chlorinated, so there's no living healthy bacteria in it which give you a vitamin B12. So they're popping supplements and having probiotics. They're walking with footwear, and not getting enough grounding every day. So that environment anyway is going to make you sick over time. And to add to that, then you don't produce food in that place, so you have to get it from out of state, and then travel time, and all these chemicals that are put in it, need for certification, carbon footprint. I see that as a totally wrong model of development for the entire world. And beautiful places can be designed where there can be arts, commerce, culture, everything, but you have to have a food space around. So I look at it from that angle. So more, and that's what we're trying to promote in the summit also, where all the 30 topics are different components of this self-sustained, eco-friendly kind of community. So I think it's definitely possible in Goa. The land has got a lot of rainfall. The land is very fertile. There's amazing biodiversity. So food can never be a problem in Goa. The range of food that you want to make, if you really have the people who want to do it. Water is not a problem. Sunlight is not a problem, and temperature is also very pretty good. And there's so much of arts and culture, and there's a very good energy in Goa, in the places that are still not commercialized. And I think people in Goa, or even people from out of Goa, are more open to coming to Goa to live in a community space like that. So I think takers for an eco community or off the grid community, there will be a lot. It's just that the right people with the right sciences and knowledge need to come together. And that's the kind of community we are building in Goa through Earth Keepers Goa. And Earth Keepers are people, who look at the healthy ways in health, food, farming, environment, business, and all of that, arts and culture, education, all the clean and green and holistic development models. So definitely, I think there's a lot of scope of it in Goa. And the more you produce and be self-sufficient, the lesser you need from the outside. There's always some supply that people do need from the grid, but it depends on the community and how efficient they are. And people can, yes, totally clearly, they can go off the grid and perhaps create enough of wealth within the community to contribute, to the state also. I look at it as the the future that should happen if we want to, uh, survive and turn the tide of this global economic destruction that's happening on the planet.
Great. Thanks, Darryl. Varun, would you like to say anything on this? Because it would be a lifestyle.
True, that is true, because I can give you a few examples that when we visit places like Kankon and Varpai, which are more into the hinterlands, you can see people are still practicing that. I mean, most of the things they do, the things that they use now, slowly technology has started creeping in, and that's for a good change, I would say, because there are some things like you can't go with grinding stone now and do that same amount of work that you should probably do earlier, but that should just kind of be used to kind of improve it rather than kind of destroying it and then changing completely to a new technological model. I mean, it's happening in the villages. Like I was enlightened by this person, like this tribe from Kankon, who don't use the three sugar, salt, and the maida or something, the white poisons in their food. And it was a very knowledgeable thing. I mean, if you see a lot of things, even in the forest, even in a lot of this hinterlands of Goa, a lot of these practices are being followed, are something that encourages not using technology too much, or being closer to nature, doing things which are natural rather than creating your own things at all times. So I feel it's a perfect place for that, but it should be done in a sustainable way. And then a lot of other factors, as Darryl says, building that community and all come into picture. But frankly speaking, it's a beautiful place, and we should start working towards that instead of destroying our existing forests and building double tracks to that, and transporting coal around. So I feel that's a change, that's a lifestyle that we should shift towards, rather than just using the existing one. Like using coal is something that people think is cannot be compromised on. But if you look at alternate ways of developing the, or alternate means of doing it, then why not? I think that would help us sustain in future as well, right? So I feel it is a beautiful place for that. And I would hope that if something like that happens, where people actually push this, Goa happens to be one of the first places which goes, in this way.
Absolutely. Edward, would you like to say something on this?
Yeah. Okay. So the project what I started, inland aquaculture, I think I would encourage people to go for it, because I need 24/7 electricity to run this project. And the only solution is like, you go for solar energy, use whatever is possible, and then, give the extra one to the government. So it's a nice thing, off-grid or solar energy concept. But, like it's like people are the first thing when you tell them to go for solar energy and all that stuff, they ask for subsidies. The first thing they talk about is subsidies. How are we going to get subsidies? See, it's up to the government and the funds. Now, if 100 people are going to go for a subsidy, and if that much funds are there, of course, it's not 100, but thousands of people will go for it. And for me, like, I would appreciate people going for solar energy, because that's the sustainable. Yeah. Over to you, Varun.
So, I would like to add in that there are people who are doing analysis also and seeing the, cost benefit. Of course, cost benefit is there. In a few years, you recover that. But then they're saying the solar panels and this plastic of the, windmills, after 25 years, that material is going to, corrode and corrupt and crack with being in the sun. Then what happens to that plastic? So yes, that is a concern, and we should start using alternative materials and materials that can be reused, or plastics that can be remolded. That is the answer to that, and that's why I'm even more than both of those. I'm more keen for the local, the water turbines, because that is made of wood and it'll have some few metal parts and all that. That's fine. Metal can also be reused. You know. So I think yes, it is definitely possible for. And when you're living in an eco community, it's the lifestyle that you build over there. With the first point is how not to use electricity. Okay, like these Goan houses earlier, we used to have the tiles with the glass in between, so you never needed a light all through the day, right? And the evening time, you would have your candles or your wicks for a house that did not have electricity. So maybe you can do certain things. Definitely, there are a lot of ideas in an eco community. You have a lighting space for people who want light and they sit around it, or there's evening time. And so in an eco community, I would first focus as how to design life that requires the least amount of power and utility. Of course, you need to be connected to the world. You need to be on the internet. For that, definitely you need electricity, and that little bit of electricity can be generated from solar and all of these things. So yeah, I really look forward to such communities which are more energy efficient. And I think many of them can happen across Goa. Anybody with 100 acres land or something like that, and with the ideas, I would like to see many of them happen, and people exchanging ideas. Because the real conversion of this planet, I would like to see those areas spread more and more. You see, because that's the holistic and natural way of living. And there are some beautiful communities across the globe, like Damanhor or Findhorn. And if you go over there, it is like paradise. You get everything. There's arts and culture, there's education, there's food, there's everything that is holistic and beautiful. You don't miss anything, and you don't want to leave those places and come back to your city. So what does that tell you? This is a message for those people who think, oh, I got a modern life, and I'm going to miss this and miss that. No, I think you should go to one of those places, and you will understand when you never want to come back. You may want to come back to your city just to earn your money and job. Otherwise, you take your family and live there forever. That's how things can happen for all of us if we get together and put our heads together and hearts together and go the eco-friendly way.
Great. So, Edward, actually, this also comes to, growing your own food. So, I mean, if there's something you want to speak on that, then we can move to the next.
Yeah, growing your own foods. That's nice. See, today people have started actually with this pandemic situation to grow their food in the backyard. Now, in fact, it's like, they have started with a limited stuff. So when you do limited, it's only enough, like for twice in a week or something, they can get the produce. But, if you ask them what is the reason for this, they say space is a problem, land is the issue. In such cases, I would rather say like, okay, go vertical. Vertical is another new concept that's coming in, vertical farming, where you can, actually, for example, 1 acre of land can be converted to 7 acres or 10 acres of land if you go vertical. And like people can't say like no place to grow and all that stuff. So you can, even in a limited space of 12 square feet area, you can create that into 72 square feet and grow your own vegetables. And vegetables like whichever you eat, it can be grown here. Over to you, Varun.
Great. Thank you, Edward. So now we'll move to the next question by Saman Qureshi. Is, can wellness centers have midwifery systems too? Darryl, would you like to?
Yes, definitely. Wellness centers can have midwifery too. It all depends on how many such midwives are there, and it's slowly growing in Goa, I think, as a movement. People who are having the experience, they are kind of telling their other friends too when they want to have a baby, other women too. And definitely, it can happen in wellness centers because that is the focus. But integrative natural medicine centers, they always look at natural, holistic, non-invasive, um, in natural surrounding kind of therapies and treatments. And the birthing process, of course, is one of the first and most fundamental processes that needs to be natural. So I think yes, definitely there is scope, and some people are already doing it in Goa, but yes, it needs to get more recognized and more recommended.
Great. So the next question here is, what is your take on permaculture forests in Goa?
So yes, some of my teachers are permaculturists, and they do have their own permaculture farms, like Lia Chanmal in Valpoi, and there are others too in Goa. So even in the eco community, and since I have also attended a few, programs of permaculture, short duration, not the 15 days, PDC course, but I've picked up a lot of principles and they really match with the way I think, and that's what I've done around my house, using the right kind of resources, maximum use of natural resources to your advantage, to grow food, to you know uh, for housing, for energy utilization, for minimization of use of resources. Definitely, yeah, I advise everybody because permaculture is very wide. It takes care into house construction and location and so many aspects of living. Even the more holistic community based philosophy, that is also coming in permaculture. So yes, we have a few such locations in Goa that practice permaculture and are good sites.
All right. So I think that's we don't seem to have any more questions, but It's just quite interesting because this is all coming together about building more and more stronger communities, local villages. And what Varun is doing is basically educating people who are coming in about what village life is about. So I mean, if anybody would like to speak more on this, we've got time.
Uh, yeah, before the education part, I just would want to put something through that is for people in our audience and especially people in Goa to have this view that once you start thinking in that direction, you will see solutions and you will find people who do this. Okay. And definitely all our speakers of the summit, the 120 speakers this year, 30 speakers last year, and the next 30 speakers who will, present in November, they're the right kind of resources to ask all these questions. So what are the questions? The questions are, um, of course, now with respect to this current situation, what are the basic things that you need in life every day? What are the foundation structures, okay, of daily living? So yeah, you need food every day. So that's why food came out so strongly today. So besides food, you need a house, and you need. So look from that angle. um, uh, how can, and the best example is to look at the indigenous people or the village people who have not been touched by modern civilization, and you will see how they uh, very less energy intensive and resource intensive ways of living. Okay. So I think it's completely possible to make our own food, build our own natural homes, create businesses and entrepreneurship models and products and services basically at the people's level, because people are consumers and people can be the producers of all these things. Yes, a fridge and all has to be made by a company and a mixer has to be made by a company. But you buy one of those things and you don't need another one for the next 10 years. So that's the formula. Look at what people are using on a regular basis, how it can be made natural, body products, food, and so many other consumables. That's where business can happen on a daily basis. And look for the natural versions of it, and look for cottage industries and what they are doing, and make more, cottage industries to make all such products and services. And that's how you will start learning how to make local income and circulate that money among people, because after all, people on the ground level are the consumers and people at the ground level can be producers for such a high percentage of all products and services. And yes, what else people can't do at a small level, then a bigger setups can be done if required in the state or even out of the state. I think there should be a balance. There should be a balance of certain amount of modern products, but I always look to a more holistic natural life because it's a more healthier life and for healthy products. So yeah, so my that's my take for people. Everything, even the new, like I said, the entire education system, it hardly teaches people skills that are really required now. You know, so for example, like I spoke about health, about making food, and of all these range of products that we showed today, that's where a lot of new education is supposed to happen. So I look at a complete revamp in the what is taught to students in the school. It should be more catered to what we need now in society. And what we need now, people are going to be lawyers and engineers and you know uh, accountants and all that. We know that accountants, I mean, the money system in the world is collapsing. Okay. And the new system where kind of eco communities are there, off the grid people are there. We look more at a barter system and a local currency. If you see Damanhor, they've got their local currency, which is at par with the euro. So don't imagine that these things can't happen. They have been done, and that community is 40 years old. It just takes the right kind of people and the effort to make these things happen. So we are seeing that all these new and green, technologies are coming. So in every space, there's a new kind of farming models. There's new kind of, food product line. I especially follow a plant-based food product line and a vegan lifestyle, which is, reversing all these illnesses. So education has to happen there as well. So businesses also, vegan product line business, that's something I forgot, because every Earth Keepers market, we put out vegan products, and, a dozen, 2 dozen, everything that can be done, ice cream, cheeses and all nut milk based, which are very healthy, instead of cow milk based, which has creates a lot of illnesses. It's all there in my book, 15 of the most common chronic illnesses coming from cow milk products, even hormonal imbalance, cataract, glaucoma, arthritis, and all of that. So the new education and new products, they are coming in almost every stream of living. And to back that, this new education system has to build it. We cannot expect something good to happen with the old engineering knowledge, which is not no longer required, right? So so that's the direction. Keep it very simple, and you'll start seeing what are the services people require. And if you just put in a plug in your head, okay, how can it be eco-friendly and not resource intensive, you will find solutions.
Yes. So we get a first question about somebody who wants a livelihood, but in Mumbai. If I want to start a wellness center in Mumbai, do let me know how I can get the network of therapists to come at the center.
Yes. So just go on to my, my Facebook group, Healers and Therapists in Mumbai. It's got 20,000 people plus, and there you can, first of all, showcase a few of therapies and whatever you do, and that gets people's interest, and then you can ask these questions over there. So there are a lot of people who are setting up wellness centers on their own, and or just renting out space for other therapists and all to come and do workshops. I've done so many workshops in centers in Mumbai, all across the country, in fact. So yeah, so that's one thing. Go to my website, darrelldesouza.com. There you will find two resources. Like I said, you'll find the link to the Healers and Therapists in Mumbai Facebook group, and you'll also find another link to Earth Keepers Mumbai. Okay, Earth Keepers in Mumbai, they're not just about wellness of mind, body, spirit, but they're also into health, food, farming, and environment. And just like this, I have another 10. So 10 cities, you'll find the WhatsApp groups and the Facebook groups also. So just for people on our call now, there are groups for Bombay, Pune, Goa, Bangalore, Calcutta, Delhi, Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, Chennai, Bangalore, and I missed out something. Yeah, Ahmedabad also. Ahmedabad, Hyderabad, and South Goa. I mean South India. Okay, so all the South cities that we could not put in this group, it's in South India. So everything is on my website. You'll find it there.
Great. So I think Varun, would you like to say a few words about what we've been saying about being more and more tribal, getting in touch with the tribals, what all is happening locally, and what you can learn from it, and then educate people around. I think that's becoming the main theme here. That pick up something local and make more and more people know about it.
Absolutely. There is this trail that we do. It's called the Tribal Foot Trail. And we go to Kankan, to Kotigaon, and we talk to them, and we even do it in Varpa as well. So if you go and if you see there, as Darryl says, you can't think of coming back at a time. People always think that I'll need technology once we go there, and it will not be feasible. But that is absolutely not the case. You love it so much, and nowadays you can hear a lot of things of going back to the roots and going back to the times as were earlier. If you realize that they have a good combination of this, so the technology is there, and this is true with a lot of other things as well. A lot of other things that we have learned across our trails, not only the hinterlands that follow all these models. A lot of other places also have all these stories, all this, say you go to a house and you talk to someone who stayed there for 80 years and who has seen things change from how it was 80 years back to how it is today. That person will tell you so much more than, what you'll read on a newspaper probably, or what you'll read with the news channels currently. And it also involves the kind of lifestyle changes that have happened, of things that they've adopted or missed out on, and things like that. So there's a lot of learning there as well. There are a lot of learning from local stories as well, right? it's up to us what we take and what we work on. So I feel that is a very important part of learning. Now everyone, even after today's talk, every one of us will have a choice. Do we follow what we have been discussing, or do we not? Do we just do what we earlier used to do? So it's about that, making sure that more and more stuff is being conveyed so that you can make informed choices, right? And that's up to all of us, and that's what we have been, even with our trails and stuff, a lot of people have come back and said, okay, we changed this, we did this, and we learned more about Goa, how it was earlier, how we want it in future, and all those things. So that kind of makes a difference, and that's how you learn and you grow. That's what I feel about this. There is learning from every village in Goa. That's what I would say. Like, you go to Moira, you'll talk, people will tell you how Moira bananas, or the bananas were so famous, and now you don't have a single person planting Moira bananas in Moira. Probably a few people have started now, but all the bananas that you get, which are called Moira bananas in in the markets, are not really planted in the village anymore. They're planted probably somewhere in Perne, right? So what happened there? What changed? Saligaon supposedly was known for sugarcane fields and stuff. Nothing there anymore. It changed to paddy. I agree, that was a different thing. But what happened? I mean, so much has changed over the last 50 to 100 years, and this stories is what we want to convey. And a lot of oral history or oral stories are, a very interesting factor in that. You won't find this in any books. It's that, I mean, those stories won't be there. So it's up to us to learn and try to work on them.
Very interesting. So from soul traveling to soul stories, maybe.
So we love working with stories. That's our motive. I mean, so travel is complete if you hear the stories, because without stories, there's nothing else. I mean, that's how we try to convey it. Because you need to take something back from whatever you experience. That's why soul traveling. I mean, you just don't see a place and be okay with it. You take something back of that place with you.
Very interesting. So we still have a few minutes. If anyone would like to speak, I think Edward, there's a little bit more which needs to come out in terms of the whole concepts of more and more changes in farming and what people can learn from that.
Yeah, well, see, what you can do is like, as I said earlier, vertical farming is a new thing that's coming up. People are mostly in urban areas and all, they talk about less space, we can't do farming, we don't have land and all sort of things. Now, if you have a space of around 50 square meter also, you can produce something of like, 10 times than that. So it's like 500 square meter area, you can have it if you go vertical. Now, vertical is just a new concept where you, do layering one after another. And you can grow multiple things there, not just one crop. You take one level, you grow, say, tamdi bhaji, the next level you can grow like doi bhaji or mudo, or, like anything which is a short crop. Now, if it's a long crop like a bendi, lady fingers, where the plant grows very high, that you can leave aside. But the smaller crops, like even the lettuce and pokchas can be grown in multi-level, and you can have your own produce at home within an area of 50 square meter, which is 10 times more when you go vertical. Okay, that's one thing. Vertical farming is the new thing that's coming up for those people who has got limited space, limited area to grow. Then second is like growing fish. Now, people talk about blue revolution. Now, today's paper, something came up on blue revolution, which they are talking only about marine life and in the sea. Whereas I've started a blue revolution concept on inland, even in urban areas. Now, there is one person who's interested to do this culture, aquaculture on his terrace. On top of the first floor. Like it all needs what is required, like the dedication towards it. And you can harvest somewhere around 500 kilos of fish in a space of 30 square meters, which is like you can feed actually 500 families when you harvest it. This is something new. It's called a high density aquaculture that I'm starting. And the major project, what is coming up is in the heart of Panjim city. once my project is ready, I'll be putting it up, or maybe like through newspapers and medias and everywhere it will be advertised. So we'll be having like demos there and online sales and all, like, harvest your own fish from the tanks, take whatever you want live. So it's like organic fish and formalin-free fish. So that is what I'm working on right now. And my plan is like to set up 100 tanks in 90 days, which is 3 months, and eventually go up to 1,500 tanks where we produce 2 tons a day for the local market, for the Goan market. And it's all organic fish.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. That's really amazing.
So, just commenting on Edward's vertical farming, I took it, erroneously to some heights, because I have my Tainley and, bitter gourd growing much on high top of the roof, and even with a long kind of aluminum ladder, I'm not able to harvest it. So, of course, people shouldn't do it like that. I just let them creep, and, in the rainy season, I did not maintain the creepers, and they went all over the place, right to the top of my roof. And now, yes, I've got to take some time to bring them down. But that's just testimony that vertical really works.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And this brings us to the end of our very interesting session on sustainable livelihoods in Goa. I would like to thank Varun, Edward, Darryl, and this will actually take us on to the next session, which will happen tomorrow, which will be about forest nurseries and mangroves for the coastal economy, because so far we've been talking on the hinterland. So I would like to thank everyone who's been with us, all our attendees and our panelists again, and wish everyone a good night. See you all again soon.
Thank you, Varna. Thank you, Varna, for managing this session wonderfully.
Thanks.
And all the best to Edward, your amazing project, and Varun also, keep creating joy in the hearts of all of these people, and show the locals also what they've not seen in the other parts of the state. That's going to be amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Darrell. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Bye, Edward.
Bye-bye.
All the best.
Thank you, Varun. Thank you, Darryl. Thank you, Mr.
Welcome.
Hegde. Yeah, it was
Welcome.
nice. Bye.
Welcome.
Bye. Good night.
Bye. Good night.